Welcome to In Pursuit of Life with Dr. Caleb. If you're new to the channel, my videos so far have been focused on infertility and pregnancy loss because of the struggles that my wife and I went through on our journey to parenthood. My recent videos have been focused on discussing what normal reproductive health looks like so we can have a greater understanding of the effects of reproductive dysfunctions when we look at them in later videos. Today, I'm continuing my focus on normal reproductive health by talking about the menstrual cycle. The menstrual cycle is the monthly process that occurs in females after puberty to prepare the body for a possible pregnancy. This cycle typically lasts between 21 and 35 days, but the average cycle lasts about 28 days. There are four main phases that the menstrual cycle can be divided into: the menstrual phase, the follicular phase, the ovulation phase, and the luteal phase. Each of these phases have different functions and goals, but some of these phases overlap a bit in their timing. The first phase is the menstrual phase. This phase begins on the first day of menstruation and typically lasts for 3 to 7 days. This occurs when the egg from the previous cycle is not fertilized by a sperm cell and no pregnancy occurs. Because of this, the uterus goes through a sort of reset to prepare for the next cycle. So this is when the uterus sheds the thickened lining from the previous cycle so it can have a fresh slate for the new cycle to come. The second phase is the follicular phase, but this phase actually starts at the same time as the menstrual phase. This phase typically lasts around 14 days, but can last up to 21 days depending on your cycle length. The goal of the follicular phase is to prepare for ovulation by protecting and nourishing the follicle that surrounds the egg so it can develop into a mature and fertile egg. As we covered in the oogenesis video, the follicle surrounds or envelops the egg first with granulosa cells and then later with a layer of theca cells. There are important hormone components involved in this phase as well as the follicle stimulating hormone or FSH and the luteinizing hormone or LH from the pituitary gland interact with the ovaries and the follicles contained within. FSH will actually start by stimulating the growth and development of several follicles, but usually only one follicle becomes dominant and continues to mature. Both FSH and LH will also interact with the granulosa cells and theca cells to produce progesterone and estrogen. This will help prepare the uterus by thickening the lining for a fertilized egg to implant into after ovulation. As you might expect, this is one of the most important phases in regards to fertility as it both prepares the egg and the uterus for a potential pregnancy. This is also the phase most hindered by hormonal imbalance. The follicular phase ends with a surge of luteinizing hormone being released, which triggers ovulation. So what exactly is ovulation? Ovulation is when the mature egg is released from the follicle that was surrounding it. A rupture occurs in the layers of granulosa and theca cells that allows the egg to emerge from the follicle. The egg will then travel from the ovary into the fallopian tubes and await a sperm cell to find it and fertilize it. So the final phase of the menstrual cycle is the luteal phase, which basically incorporates the whole second half of the menstrual cycle, and this occurs between ovulation and menstruation. So following ovulation, the remains of the follicle form the corpus luteum, which continues to secrete progesterone and estrogen and prepares the uterine lining for a potential pregnancy. So this phase typically lasts 12 to 14 days, and again, it works to prepare for pregnancy to support the thickening of the lining. That way, with a fertilized egg, as it travels from the fallopian tubes into the uterus, can have a place to implant and be properly nourished and grow into a healthy fetus. If implantation is successful, the body begins producing human chorionic gonadotropin, or HCG, which maintains the corpus luteum. It keeps it from degrading and helps it to continue producing hormones that support the early stages of the pregnancy, at least until the placenta can develop and take over much of those responsibilities. So as you can see, the menstrual cycle is very important in the fertility and reproductive process, and issues in any stages of that can lead to issues with fertility or being able to sustain and maintain a pregnancy. If you enjoyed this video and found it to be informative, I encourage you to hit that like, subscribe, and notification bell. That way you can stay up to date with all my videos as they are released. As I continue to move forward with the videos, I am looking at expanding the scope of the content to be more than just pregnancy or fertility related, and to incorporate some other health concerns such as parasites, Lyme disease, mold exposure, chronic illnesses, those type of things that we see in the clinic on a regular basis, and look for a more complete pursuit of life, not just reproductive life and the life of a child, but also a better, more expansive, more fulfilled life for each of us. Until then, take care and be blessed.